Hey everybody, it's Brian Emhauser at Hawk on Twitter and Instagram, and hopefully you can hear me, you can see me, and we can catch up on what was the Seahawks practice today. I would have loved to gotten to you right after practice, but they pushed practice back an hour, and then coach's press conference was pretty late, and so I had to run, basically bike actually, home as quickly as I could and make sure everything was settled here and take a shower. And now I have a moment to update you guys all on practice for today. But before I do that, I would be crazy not to thank Detail Oriented for what is your new viewing experience on this instant camp report. This is a gimbal enabled experience. Hopefully it's a little bit more steady than what you guys were getting before. Hopefully it's a little less nauseating, although my face is my face, so I can't help with that. But happy to hopefully give you guys a little bit better viewing experience. And as always, thank you to Detail Oriented for all his generosity and helping make this show better. By the way, we are like 13 or 14 or 15 members away from 500 YouTube members. So like now is the time to join. If you haven't already, join as a member, help us get to 500 and consider gifting a membership. You just got to go up to the desktop or Android device when you're watching, click join, and there should be an option to gift. And it's a great way to pay it forward. If you got a free membership, consider giving a free membership to somebody else. So thank you. And make sure if you want to receive a membership, you also have to go into join and click that you enable gifting. There might be a free membership waiting for you. So, all right. So let's talk about the practice. There was a number of questions that I had today in Hawk Blogger Mornings that we got relatively straightforward answers to today. Relatively. Let's go through them in order. Is Connor Williams going to practice? Yes, Connor Williams practiced. He went through all the position group drills. He then went and practiced in some of the team drills and then sat out for the rest. So they are slowly working him back in, but it was great to see him out there running with the ones, doing his thing, fitting right in. I will let you know, this is something you should prepare for, Seahawks fans. He had some high snaps. One flew over PJ Walker's head. One almost did a second time. And from what I've heard in Miami, that was a problem. He had some snap issues. So while he might be a fantastic blocker, we may have some work to do on his snapping. So just keep that in mind. But otherwise, great to see him out there. Olu is still the backup center, getting reps with the twos. Second question, who's starting at right guard? Well, it looked like Anthony Bradford. He was getting first team reps through early parts of practice, but then they started rotating. So Christian Haynes got some reps with the ones, and so did Anthony Bradford. Don't know how that's going to play out. I asked Coach after practice, hypothetically, if you have a player in your offensive line competition that is a better pass blocker and another one that's a better run blocker, which one do you favor? And he says it doesn't matter. I don't know if the other coaches would say that, but I was curious if he had an answer for that. He didn't seem to have a strong opinion. Detail-oriented gifts another 10 memberships. Detail, I mean, you are amazingly generous. I want to make sure you are taking care of yourself, my friend. I know you're just recovering from your surgery, so take care of yourself. But thank you so much for your generosity again. And folks, if you want to get a free membership, all you got to do is turn on gifting in your account, and you could get a free membership. So really, really appreciate that. And it'd be great if other people followed suit, you know, especially if you're getting a free membership. Really think about giving some free memberships as well. All right, so back to it. Right guard, rotational, you know, not clear. I think they're going to go right into this game, and I don't think, they didn't say this, but I don't think they're going to make the decision until next week. That's my guess. They will see how the guys perform in the last game. They'll go from there. We also got some, I wouldn't say clarity, but intention from Mike Macdonald that a reporter kind of said, since you're not going to be playing your starters, and Macdonald said, I don't think I said that. Implication was that he is going to play his starters. He was then asked directly, so is your plan to play the starters? And he said, I've got to have some conversations with a few people, and then we'll let you guys know later. So I think the plan is to play starters, but they want to be smart. And we will see what happens there. So that was Connor Williams, and then right guard. What was the next question? What about tight end? Well, we got an update kind of outside of practice. Pharaoh Brown posted a video on his Instagram saying, I think that he was in Austin, Texas. I haven't had a chance to watch the video yet. I just heard about it. So this is coming secondhand, but that he's in Austin. He was on crutches apparently, but he's hoping to be back week 1. And so we will see. The coach didn't... Coach Macdonald pulled a fast one on the press today, because I was going to ask about if there's any Pharaoh Brown updates. Someone did ask, and he said, there's no new timeline from what I told you guys like earlier. And I was like, oh, I must have missed when he gave the timeline. And so I asked the other people in the press corps afterwards, like, okay, so what was the timeline that I missed? And he's like, he never gave a timeline. So Coach Macdonald maybe getting savvy or maybe forgetting. I don't know. But threw us for a loop on that one. So no real update from the coach on Pharaoh Brown, but Pharaoh Brown's update is he hopes to be ready for week 1. When a guy's in crutches with 3 weeks to go, take that with a grain of salt. So we'll see about that. And then the other piece that I would say there is, so Noah Fant was not practicing. I'm not too worried about that. And so what you then had, and Jack Westover is not practicing. So what that means is they had 2 new guys in there at tight end, but most of them did not get snaps, I don't think, this practice. They were just getting, they can't possibly even know the playbook at this point. But Brady Russell, AJ Barner were getting all the kind of number 1 reps. Tyler Mayberry's there as well. And just appreciate that we've got some depth at that position, and both Brady Russell and AJ Barner had a decent practice. I think they looked pretty good, and I think AJ Barner's kind of picking it up late in camp. I think he's slowly picking it up, and it's a shame a little bit for Jack Westover. This would have been an awesome chance for him, but not so far. With him being injured, he's not going to get a chance to really take advantage of this opportunity. There are some other updates, and I will get to those, but we do have a few new members that I got to recognize here. First of all, the Cell 9 is a new member. So glad to have you, and welcome to the crew. We've got to be getting close to 500 now. And then Dave McEwen, it's probably McEwen, is joining the club level, which I love. Club level gets you early access to videos. I did a interview with Uchenna Nwosu today. That's available for all club level and above now. It'll be available for other people later. And by the way, thanks to all the support that you guys give, I was able to give $2,000 to the Uchenna Nwosu Foundation. Handed him a massive check for that today, and he was super touched and excited about that. And that's, because of you guys. So really, really appreciate all the support. And as I've said, charity is going to remain at the center of what we're doing here on Hawk Blogger, Real Hawk Talk, hawkblogger.com, all that stuff. Even though this is my full-time job now and I'm going to take some money to pay bills, I'm still going to make this a highly charitable process. So can't do it without you guys, and really appreciate it. All right, so let's see. So I updated you on the tight ends, and then the next update, there was no Draymond Jones today. Jerome Baker did get on the field today. He did not really do team drills, but he was out there for some scout team stuff. So I'll consider that progress. Good to see that. I think I saw that there was a question about Abe Lucas. That was asked in the press conference today. The coach was asked specifically, do you expect Abe Lucas ready for week 1? And he declined to answer that question. Abe was not out there today, so it is starting to get pretty short timeline wise before he would really realistically be available for week 1. I'm going to assume he's PUP, but who knows? That remains to be seen. So I think those were the big ones. I don't think I have anything in particular to report on running backs. Let's go through the positions real quick. Tight end, wide receiver. DK had some more great catches today. He had another one-hander on the sideline that was a beaut. Had a number of other catches. JSN had some nice plays today. Gino looked good. All right, let me keep going. So that's tight end. And then offensive line. Interesting to see Stone Forsythe getting some reps at right tackle. McClendon Curtis getting some snaps at left tackle. We talked about the rotation at right guard. Did not see Raekwon taking snaps at center. So, I think Olu is pretty safe, based on what I'm seeing, but who knows? All right, let's go to defensive line. I already talked about, all the guys were out there. I don't think there's anything of particular note for the defensive line today. Edge players, as I said, Draymond Jones was not out there, but we did see, the rest of the guys were there. Coach was very complimentary of Derek Hall. And he talked about interesting nomenclature. He's like, Derek's fastball is his power. And we work on guys on having off-speed pitches and other pitches, but we want guys to play with their fastball. And for Derek Hall, it's power. So I think that's an interesting way of talking about it, and that is his best attribute. Linebacker, inside linebacker. I talked about Jerome Baker a little bit, Tyrell Dodson. I got to see a little bit of Drake Thomas for the first time in action, and man, I'm a huge fan of the way this guy looks. Like, he looks the part. He has got his thighs just go like he has got thick old legs. Just he's built a little like Zach Thomas, if you remember him for the Dolphins back in the day. Just like a fire hydrant, And I want to see him play this weekend. I was really disappointed he didn't play last weekend, but I don't know. He's an interesting looking athlete, and I'm curious about him. It's very, very late in the game, but I am curious about him. So that's inside linebacker. Cornerback. Lance Boykin was out there, which was nice to see. He's missed some time. I don't know if there was anything else of note. Reek and Witherspoon had some nice plays. Nothing really crazy. Safety. There's a nice little interaction. I like watching. So I think I've told you before, they actually have replay screens on the side of the field. And so sometimes what happens is, the team comes off the field, like whichever group just did a play, and they'll gather around the replay screen to kind of see what happened. Today, there was a moment where the number one defense was coming off the field, and Rayshawn Jenkins and Julian Love. Actually, Julian Love was like, "Hey, Ray, or Jank." I can't remember. He calls them different things, but and he's pointing out, I can't remember exactly what he was saying, and I probably shouldn't say even if I remembered, but he was calling out something about the coverage and how they were running a certain play and how he had to do something, and Jenkins was kind of acknowledging it. He's like, "Yeah, totally," and it was just kind of cool. Like, these guys are leaders by nature in a different kind of way, and I think they're both very cerebral players, and I think the Seahawks are in good hands at the safety position. I think they're going to have smart players making smart plays and, be in good communication, and they're good athletes as well. So I like that little interaction. So that's safety. I think that's everything. So that's kind of it. I think in general, solid practice. They were not wearing pads today. Again, the big news, Connor Williams gets his first practice today and, gets a few snaps in, did pretty well. Nothing really of note. I'll have some video I can post a little bit later, but, that's the big news. I mean, he is on track, assuming there's no setbacks, to be your week 1 starter, which is just a huge step forward for that offensive line. We got another new member here, Hawks for Life. Welcome to the crew. It's great to have you, and thanks for joining. We got to be getting close to 500 now, so love that. Scrolling through to see any other comments here. Here's from Jeff Fomal, a member, says, how is Ken Walker III doing? He is a blur out there, man. He's in fantastic shape. He looks great. He's all business. He looks explosive. So, yeah, he's looking good. I see people asking about running backs. I don't remember seeing Kenny McIntosh today, but it doesn't mean he wasn't there. I honestly did not keep track. I did see George Halani. I saw Kyrie Robinson. Obviously saw Ken Walker. Zach Charbonnet was not practicing today. He's still recovering from whatever kind of back issue he was dealing with. But that's the other piece. Tyrese Knight was out there, Smoke Hawk. I see that. Byron Murphy was there doing his thing. Nothing in particular. Let's see, scrolling through to see if there's any other questions I can answer. I didn't mention somebody. I must have missed somebody. Hold on. Let me scroll up and see if I missed somebody. Sorry guys, it's a little hard to do on the small screen. At least hopefully it's not making you nauseous, I'm guessing. Still scrolling. I'm not seeing a new member up here, but maybe I missed something. If I did, apologies. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that I missed. So appreciate that. Oh, I see a question from Old School asking about my mom. That's very nice of you. She's doing well. Thank you. She came out of surgery well, and I was able to go over and hang out with her yesterday. And so she's doing well. And I'll probably try to find time to see her later this week as well. But I'm not a sympathy vampire. I'm not gonna, try to share stuff so you guys feel bad for me. I just sometimes I'll tell you stuff about my personal life so you understand why I'm late, because I was raised in a way that you are always on time or early. I do not like being late to things, and if I tell people I'm going to be somewhere at a certain time, I try to be there, and if I'm not, I let you know why. So appreciate. Can we get a question from Nate Schutz? Can we call all the members Legion of Bloggers? Sure. I don't mind if you guys want to call yourselves LOB. I got no problem with that. But yeah, one thing I'll just say as we kind of wrapping up here is be sure to check in for the show tomorrow. I think it's gonna be a great show. I have not done a show with Mike Randall yet, but FTN Fantasy is like super solid in what they do, and Aaron Schatz is kind of a legend with DVOA, and so I assume Mike Randall is very good with his fantasy stuff as well. I'm going to ask him some of the questions that you guys have. So club level and above, as well as Patreon members, have had a chance to ask questions. I've captured some of those questions. We'll ask those of Mike tomorrow. But I'm going to ask him for basic stuff like just, general draft strategy for fantasy football. I'm going to ask him about who the risers and fallers are. I'm going to ask him about Seahawks players and projections for them. I'm going to talk to him about some of our first few games and what he sees as potential good matchups or bad matchups. And so it's not all fantasy football stuff. It has implications for the game as well. So it should be a really good show tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. So keep an eye on that. If you haven't already, Alan is saying, give us the live membership count, Brian. You can't leave us if we're at 495. Well, I would have to do some manipulation of my phone in order to tell you that, and I don't think you guys want to be seeing my finger pointing all at the screen. I will tell you that, like I said, I think we were about 17 off before we started, and I think we've got 10 new memberships from Detail, and then maybe 2 other folks have joined. So I'm guessing we're about 5 off. Now, Smokehawk has just gifted 1, so I'm guessing we're about 4 away, based off my math from before. Thank you, Smokehawk, man. Also incredibly generous how often he's been gifting memberships. Really appreciate that. Whoops. So yeah, and the other thing I just, reminding folks, so FTN Fantasy is ftnfantasy.com. If you buy a membership and you use the promo code HAWKS, HAWKS, you get 15% off. It's like less than $9 a month. And you get data that you can't get anywhere else. I posted something on Twitter today where I did this is the kind of stuff that I'm going to want to do. I was able to look at all the quarterbacks in the NFL and see how they performed in the rain versus out of the rain and who had the biggest differential, who was affected the most by the rain. So check out on Twitter. I posted that today. That's the kind of stuff you get. And if you don't think that's going to matter for your fantasy football teams, you're crazy. If you don't think it's going to matter for your bets, if you're a betting guy, you're crazy. And if you don't think it's going to not going to matter for just like evaluating the Seahawks' chances and the players on the team, you're also crazy. So it's a really good deal. Like I've said a bunch of times, thousands of dollars, $5,000, $6,000 to get that a year if you are on SIS. At ftnfantasy.com, it's like under $9 if you use the Hawks, HAWKS promo code. So definitely something to try. And in that time frame, we got a gifted membership from Alan Bond. That is amazing. Thank you, Alan. Really, really appreciate that. And then who else? Old School Seahawk gifted 10 memberships. We have got to be over 500 now. That is incredibly cool. And man, I'm just curious how big this is going to get. Like, once the season starts, I mean, how big is this going to get? How many people are we going to have as part of this family, as part of this crew? And hopefully the games are happy and fun. They won't all be. It'll be hard sometimes. But, when I go on the road week 2 to New England, that's because of you guys helping make that happen. I can't wait to see what kind of coverage I can give you in there. I think I'm going to be able to go into the locker room in some of these places and get some other, live reactions and conversations. Yeah, I think it's just going to be so much fun, like as a crew, getting to know each other better and just talking Seahawks all the time. So really appreciate the generosity from all of you, and so cool. All right, folks, I am going to wrap there because I got to go make dinner, eat dinner, do all the things. But someone says I look great, Mike Garafolo. I've been called so much worse. So much worse. We got another new member, Hawkaholic. Man, welcome to the crew, dude. It's great to have you aboard. Thank you for joining. And yeah, I will be back on tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. with Mike Randall, and we will talk fantasy football. If you're a YouTube member, which so many of you are now, club level, I think it's club level and higher. I can't remember if I opened it for everybody or not. Honestly, I have to double check. But there are fantasy football leagues that you can join. If you're a Patreon member, patreon.com/hawkblogger, there's also a fantasy football league, although I think that has filled up. So that's another great way to just kind of meet people and have some fun together. So I have some things in the works about maybe doing some IRL meetups during the season. Still working on that. There is one for sure, which is for Ring of Honor members on patreon.com/hawkblogger. If you're a Ring of Honor member, it'll be September 6th, the Friday before the first game. I'm taking all the Ring of Honor members, plus Evan, plus Jeff, plus Nathan, out for Daniel's Broiler. So if you want a spot at the table at Daniel's Broiler, join as a Ring of Honor member at patreon.com/hawkblogger, and it's a great night. We have a really fun time. We talk Hawks the whole night, get some drinks, get some great food, great dinner. So consider doing all that. All right, everybody. Thank you for getting us over 500 members. Really, really grateful for all of you, and hope you have a great rest of your night. Hopefully, you are appreciating the gimbal and the steadier show from Mr. Detail Oriented. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.